Hello goblins, it's Chris, Eldritch Pipes. It's an episode of this week's Pipes. But I'm going to begin with a few little things before I get into the pipes. I'm smoking HH's Rustica, which is lovely. And I'm going to start with nearly a political item. Not really politics. I don't get into politics or any contentious issues online, mainly because I don't think online is a place where complex issues ever get resolved. It's just a place where as soon as somebody starts talking about a complex issue, it becomes a dumpster fire. And I love having those discussions, but I save them for in person. However, this one's got me so miffed. We've got to mention it. Now, it's not about the actual case at hand, which is the Johnny Depp Amber Heard case. You may have a passing interest in it, you may not. But what's really interesting, I think, is the way it's been reported in the media. Certainly in the UK, it's only Amber Heard's side of the case gets any airtime whatsoever. And this wouldn't necessarily normally set my alarms going. I mean, media is biased anyway. You're going to have your left-wing outlets and your right-wing outlets and your more or less centre-piece outlets. But so you know what I mean. You get a 360 view of an event if you read different things. But in this case, all the media outlets seem to be falling in line, and I find that rather disconcerting, because if the media machine is not willing to report this event in its entirety, then how can we trust the media machine to report any event in its entirety? It just causes you to say, I wonder what's being hidden from me. Now, of course, if any of you have one or more feet in conspiracy land, you'll be well ahead of the curve on this. But I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't have paranoid leanings, but this event has flagged something for me. So there you go. Next item. Oh yes, we're talking about Netflix shows last week, and one that I had watched recently and I wanted to alert you to, if you're into this kind of thing, was the John Wayne Gacy tapes. It's a really fascinating 3-part series. I knew John Wayne Gacy a bit. I don't really delve deep into serial killer land. It's not a specialist subject of mine, but obviously, like, delving into a mindset, an extreme mindset like that, is a fascinating journey. And so if you have leanings that way, John Wayne Gacy tapes it's a great 3-parter. I've wondered whether to do the Ted Bundy tapes, but I sort of know a bit more about his background, so I'm possibly inclined not to go there. Just for, it doesn't interest me as much. It just seems like a straightforward, cold-hearted killer, rather than John Wayne Gacy, who was kind of weird. He was all over the shop, and of course he was a kind of like a political figure at some point, so it was kind of interesting. Okay, last point. On last week's video, the Victorian Piper made a comment. Said your stem's going a bit dull. Could you do anything about it? It made me kind of want for the old days of tobacco shops. Most tobacconists would have a buffing wheel in the back, and you could take your pipe to the tobacconist and they'd give it a quick buff. And in fact, in Stratford, they had a buffing wheel until not that long ago. So that was the way it used to be done. By hand, the best product, I think, is Renaissance wax. It is a microcrystalline wax polish. You get some off with your finger, rub it on your stem, let it dry, buff it off with a dry cloth, and that can bring a bit of sparkle back. Other than that, it's getting a buffing wheel. And then becoming a pipe maker. That's what you do there. All right. 2 pipes this week. Unavailable. I probably won't have any available until... Certainly I'm not going to have any available next week. Maybe the week after I might have some pipes available again. But let's have a look. It is, of course, a Viking horn in an iridescent sandblast. I think this is the first, I think it's the first Viking horn I've done with the iridescent finish. This one's a lovely specimen. Lots of ring grain. He's even got a little splash of plateau along the bottom. That's just really cool. So just when the light catches it right, you can see you have the light refracting green off the front, and then off the top and off the bottom going violet, which is lovely. Nice blast on this guy. There's quite a lot of elements you sort of have to keep your eye on with sandblasting. The nozzles wear away, the media wears out, and you have to keep on top of making sure all the elements are kind of sharp and focused. It seems to me like the iridescent finish can both accentuate and hide the sandblast. It's all depending on how the light hits it. It's a funny one. And done with mother of pearl stem. This time quite dark until it gets to, you can see this like last third. But it does weave all its way all up the top. Sometimes the contrast on the camera, you can sort of see it glinting away up here. Isn't the greatest, but there you go. Iridescent Viking horn. I've got some other looks that I want to try in that idea. I've been wondering if the gold will work. So like a metallic gold. It's something I've got to experiment with, but it seems like it should work. Now, this is a shape I have made, I guess I haven't made that recently. I've made one for David Dorian Bross. Not so long ago, and I guess that prompted some interest in the shape again. I call it Opium. As you can see, it is quite an unusual shape. Heavily forward-canted bowl, even compared to a cutty. maybe even slightly more than a cutty. I'd have to put them side by side to see what my angle is on a cutty, but it's definitely an extreme forward cant there. There's my phone just going off. I should have silenced it. It's one of the few times that I don't use my own resin. This is actually some sand Cumberland from the SEM factory in Germany. For a couple of reasons, really. One, because the very short, now my words are escaping me, the short saddle means that on my normal resin I'll use a Delrin tenon, and that extends then, it's glued in to about 1/2 inch into the stem, and this saddle cuts well before 1/2 inch, so I just had to go with an integral stem, integral tenon, and that means using Cumberland, real Cumberland if you like, but ebonite is the material. But the sand colour is just very attractive as well. And sometimes just having that strict linear flow, that linear grain, is a very pleasant option to have. Obviously smooth rim. I never get away with showing this pipe without there being some kind of comment of it looking somewhat phallic. To those who think that, just get your mind out of the gutter. The Opium influence actually came from the shape of the rim to the bowl. I'm trying to remember exactly now which part of the plant gave that impression, and I forget. But I seem to remember that was the initial inspiration for this shape. It's done before I put it away, it's done in a black sandblast with a mahogany rim. Smooth mahogany rim. All right. Okay, that's it from me. So just 2 pipes this week because I've had to make some space while I'm upping the ante on my resin experiments, which are coming along apace. I don't know when I'll have the new set out. It's going to still be a good while yet. But it's been garnering interest, so I think I've got to speed up a little bit. That's the trouble with showing people things. All of a sudden they want them. All right. Okay, that's it from me. I should be seeing you next week for this week's pipes. And that's my phone again. All right. Till next time, take it very easy. Your loyal pipe maker.